Tejo was sitting in his small room at the Galactic Academy when his communicator made a soft sound. He picked it up and saw a message from Sora. His face broke into a smile. Sora was his best friend at the Academy, and she always made his days better. The message was simple. Sora wanted him to visit her home planet during the semester break. She said her mother wanted to meet her study partner. Tejo read the message 3 times. He could not believe it. After 2 years of friendship, he was finally going to see where Sora grew up. He typed back quickly. "Yes, I would love to come." The reply came fast. "Good. Pack warm clothes. And Tejo, just be yourself. Everything will be fine." Tejo found the last part strange. Why would everything not be fine? But he pushed the thought away. He was too excited to worry that Sora was a Valari. She had pale blue skin that looked like the morning sky and silver eyes that seemed to glow in the dark. When Tejo first met her, he thought she was the most beautiful person he had ever seen. But beauty was not why they became friends. They became friends because Sora laughed at his bad jokes and shared her snacks with him during long study nights. The Valari were known across the galaxy as a proud and ancient species. They lived for hundreds of years and built cities made of crystal. Tejo had seen pictures, but pictures were nothing compared to the real thing. He could not wait to see Valaria with his own eyes. That night, Tejo started packing. He did not have many things. Some clothes, a few books, and a small photo of his family back on Earth. He looked at the photo for a long moment. His mother and father were smiling. His little sister was making a funny face. He missed them, but he knew they were proud of him for studying at the Galactic Academy. The next morning, Tejo went to find his roommate, Youre. Youre was also human, and he had been at the Academy for 3 years. He knew things about alien cultures that Tejo was still learning. "I am going to Valaria," Tejo said with a big smile. "Sora invited me to meet her family." Youre stopped what he was doing. He turned to look at Tejo with a serious face. "Her family? You mean her mother?" "Yes, her mother wants to meet me." Youre walked closer. He put his hand on Tejo's shoulder. "Listen to me carefully. You know how aliens see us, right? They think we are monsters. Death world creatures. Be very, very careful." Tejo laughed. "What are you talking about? I am just a regular guy from Bizin. I am not scary." "To them, you are," Youre said. "Humans come from Earth. Earth is classified as a Class 12 death world. That is the highest level. Our planet has earthquakes, volcanoes, hurricanes, and animals with big teeth. We survive all of that and call it normal. To aliens, that makes us terrifying." Tejo shook his head. "Sora is not afraid of me. We have been friends for 2 years. Sora is young and open-minded. Her mother might be different. The older Valari are very traditional. They follow old rules and old fears." Youre squeezed Tejo's shoulder. "Just be careful, okay? Do not do anything too human." "What does that even mean?" Youre sighed. "Do not run. Do not show your teeth when you smile. Do not eat too fast. Do not—" Okay, Tejo interrupted. "I understand. I will be polite and calm." "Good." Youre let go of his shoulder. "And if things get weird, just remember that you can always leave. You do not have to stay if you feel unsafe." Tejo nodded, but inside he was not worried. Sora was his friend. Her family would be nice. Everything would be fine. The journey to Valaria took 3 days. Tejo and Sora traveled together on a passenger ship. The ship was filled with aliens of all kinds. Some had many arms. Some had no arms at all. Some floated in the air, and some walked on 6 legs. Tejo tried not to stare, but it was hard. The galaxy was so big and so strange so Ra was quiet during the trip. She spent a lot of time looking out the window at the stars. Taeho tried to talk to her, but her answers were short. "Are you okay?" he asked on the second day. Sora turned to look at him. Her silver eyes were soft but worried. "I am fine. I am just thinking about home." "Are you nervous about seeing your mother?" Sora was silent for a moment. Then she said, "My mother is difficult. She has strong opinions about many things. I just hope she will like you. Why would she not like me?" Taeho asked with a smile. "I am very likable." Sora did not smile back. "Just promise me something, Taeho. No matter what happens, do not take anything personally. My mother does not know you like I do. She only knows what she has heard about humans." "And what has she heard?" Sora looked away. "Nothing good." On the third day, the ship arrived at Valaria. Taeho pressed his face against the window like a child. The planet was beautiful beyond words. The sky was soft lavender, like a sunset that never ended. The cities below looked like they were made of glass and light. Towers reached up toward the clouds, thin and elegant. Rivers of silver water cut through green forests. "It is amazing," Taeho whispered. Sora smiled for the first time in days. "Welcome to my home." They landed at a small port near the capital city. The air outside was cool and smelled like flowers. Taeho took a deep breath and felt his heart fill with joy. He was on an alien planet. He was really here. A transport vehicle was waiting for them. It floated above the ground without wheels. Taeho climbed inside with Sora, and they flew through the city. Everything was clean and quiet. The Valari they passed moved slowly and gracefully. They wore long robes in soft colors. They all looked peaceful and calm, but as they got closer to Sora's family estate, Taeho noticed that Sora was gripping her seat very tightly. Her blue skin had become a little paler. "Sora? We are almost there," she said quietly. "Remember what I told you. Just be yourself. And no matter what my mother says or does, stay calm." The vehicle stopped in front of a large building. It was not like the other buildings in the city. It was older, with tall pillars and wide doors. Flowers grew along the walls, and soft lights glowed from every window. Standing at the entrance was a tall figure in ceremonial robes. She had 4 eyes, all of them fixed on the vehicle. All of them fixed on Taeho. Sora took a deep breath. "That is my mother." Taeho looked at the figure waiting for them. She did not smile. She did not wave. She just watched. For the first time since receiving the invitation, Taeho felt a small touch of fear in his heart, but he pushed it down and smiled. He was here to meet his best friend's mother. How bad could it be? Taeho stepped out of the vehicle and stood on the stone path. The air was still and quiet. The only sound was the soft rustle of leaves in the garden. He straightened his clothes and tried to look presentable. Madame Valera did not move from her place at the entrance. She stood like a statue, watching Taeho with all 4 of her eyes. Each eye was a different shade of silver, and each one seemed to look at a different part of him. It was unsettling. So Ra walked ahead of Taeho and bowed to her mother. "Mother, I have returned. This is my friend from the academy. This is Taeho." Valera's gaze moved slowly from her daughter to Taeho. "So this is the human," she said. Her voice was musical, like wind moving through glass chimes. But there was no warmth in it. Only ice. Taeho bowed the way he had learned in his alien etiquette class. He bent forward at the waist and kept his hands at his sides. "Thank you for having me, madame. Your home is very beautiful." Valera did not respond to the compliment. She tilted her head slightly, studying him the way a scientist might study a dangerous insect. "You are smaller than I expected," she said. "The records say humans grow much larger." "Some do, Teho replied politely. I am average for my kind. Average, Valera repeated. The word sounded like a test on. She turned without another word and walked into the house. Sora grabbed Teho's arm and pulled him forward. Come, we must follow her. The inside of the house was even more impressive than the outside. The floors were made of smooth white stone that reflected the soft lights above. Furniture floated in the air without any support. Plants with glowing leaves grew from pots that also floated. The walls changed color slowly, shifting from pale pink to soft gold to light green. Teho could not help but look around in wonder. This is incredible, he whispered. Keep your voice low, Sora whispered back. Do not show too much excitement. It might seem strange to them. Teho nodded and tried to control his face. But it was hard. Everything was so new and amazing. Servants appeared from side rooms. They were Valari, like Sora, but they were simple gray robes instead of the colorful ones. They moved quietly and quickly, bringing drinks and small plates of food. When they saw Teho, they stopped moving. Their eyes went wide. Some of them stepped back. One servant dropped the tray she was carrying. It fell to the floor with a loud crash. The servant fell to her knees immediately, trembling. I am sorry, madame. I am so sorry, she cried. Valera looked at the mess on the floor, then at Teho. Clean it up, she said to the servant. And do not let your fear make you careless again. Teho wanted to help the servant pick up the broken pieces, but Sora grabbed his arm again. Do not, she whispered. Do not go near them. You will scare them more. But I just want to help, I know. But they do not understand that. To them, you are a predator. Every move you make is dangerous. Teho felt his stomach twist. He had never thought of himself as scary. He was just a normal person. He liked to read books and watch movies and eat good food. He was not a monster. But looking at the fear in the servant's eyes, he realized that it did not matter what he thought. It only mattered what they believed. Valera led them to a large sitting room. She sat on a floating chair and gestured for them to sit across from her. Teho sat down carefully, trying to move slowly and gently. Tea will be served soon, Valera said. While we wait, you will tell me about yourself, human. Of course, madame. What would you like to know? Everything. Where you come from. What your family does. Why you are at the Galactic Academy. And most importantly, she leaned forward slightly, why you have attached yourself to my daughter. Teho felt heat rise to his cheeks. I have not attached myself to her, madame. We are friends. We met in our first year and became study partners. Sora is very smart, and she helped me with my language classes. I helped her with her science classes. We have been friends ever since. Friends, Valera said the word like it was something dirty. The Valari do not make friends lightly. Friendship is a bond that lasts for centuries. It comes with duties and responsibilities. Do you understand that, human? I understand that friendship is important, Teho said carefully. I take my friendship with Sora very seriously. Do you? Valera's 4 eyes narrowed. Humans live such short lives. 60, 70, maybe 80 years if you are lucky. My daughter will live for 500 years or more. When you are dead and forgotten, she will still be young. What kind of friendship can you offer her? The words hit Teho like a punch. He had never thought about it that way. He knew Valari lived longer than humans, but he had not really understood what that meant. So Ra spoke up. Mother, that is not fair. Teho is my friend. The length of his life does not change that. Be silent, Valera said sharply. I am not speaking to you. Sora closed her mouth, but her silver eyes were angry. Teho took a deep breath. Madame, you are right. I will not live as long as Sora, but that does not make our friendship less real. Every moment I spend with her is precious to me. I do not take it for granted." Valera stared at him for a long moment. Then she said, "We will see." The tea arrived. It was served in small cups, made of something that looked like crystal. The liquid inside was a soft purple color, and it smelled like flowers and honey. Tahoe waited for Valera to drink first. Then he took a small sip. The taste was unlike anything he had ever experienced. It was sweet and bitter at the same time, with a warmth that spread through his whole body. He smiled without thinking. Valera watched him closely. "You enjoy it?" "It is wonderful," Tahoe said honestly. "Interesting. Most species cannot tolerate our tea. It is too strong for their systems." Tahoe took another sip. He did not feel anything wrong, just warmth and comfort. After the tea, Valera stood up. "Dinner will be served in 3 hours. It will be a formal affair. My daughter will show you to your room so you can prepare." Tahoe stood and bowed again. "Thank you, madame." Valera walked past him toward the door. As she passed, she said quietly, "You will be seated at the challenger's place tonight." Sora made a small sound, almost like a gasp. Vel single quotes IRA left the room without looking back. Tahoe turned to Sora. "What is the challenger's place?" Sora's face was pale. Her hands were shaking. She grabbed Tahoe's arm and pulled him close. Her lips were right next to his ear when she whispered the words that made his blood run cold. "You are in trouble." Tahoe felt his heart beat faster. "What do you mean? What is happening?" Sora pulled him out of the sitting room and down a long hallway. She did not speak until they were in a small bedroom with the door closed behind them. "The challenger's place," she said, her voice shaking. "It is a seat at the table reserved for those being tested. In our tradition, when a daughter brings home a potential mate, the mother tests them to see if they are worthy." "A potential mate?" Tahoe's eyes went wide. "Sora, I am not. We are not. I know." Sora covered her face with her hands. "I told my mother you were my friend, my study partner, but she did not believe me. She thinks I am hiding the truth. She thinks I brought you here because I want to bond with you." "To bond? You mean like marriage?" "Yes, and now she wants to test you. She wants to prove that you are not worthy. She wants to humiliate you and send you away." Tahoe sat down on the bed. His legs felt weak. "What kind of tests?" Sora looked at him with fear in her eyes. "Terrible ones. Tests that have broken warriors and princes from across the galaxy. Tests designed to find weakness and expose it." Tahoe swallowed hard. He was just a regular guy from Bizen. He was not a warrior or a prince, but he looked at Sora and he saw how scared she was. He saw how much she needed him to be brave. So he smiled. "Well then, I guess I better not fail." The dining hall was the largest room Tahoe had ever seen. The ceiling was so high that he could barely see it. Floating lights drifted through the air like slow stars. A long table stood in the center, made of dark wood with silver decorations. Chairs lined both sides, and at the head of the table sat Madame Valera, but she was not alone. 12 other Velari sat at the table. They were all old, with deep lines on their blue faces and eyes that had seen centuries pass. They wore heavy robes covered in symbols and jewels. These were the elders of Sora's house, and they had all come to watch Sora walk beside Tahoe. She was dressed in a formal gown that matched her silver eyes. She looked beautiful, but her face was tight with worry. "Remember," she whispered, "stay calm. Do not show fear. And whatever they put in front of you, do not refuse it." Tahoe nodded. His mouth felt dry. A servant led him to his seat. It was directly across from Valera, at the opposite end of the table. The challenger's place. Every elder turned to look at him as he sat down. 24 eyes watched his every move. Teho sat straight and put his hands on the table. He tried to look calm even though his heart was beating fast. Valera raised her hand and the room became silent. Tonight we welcome a guest from a distant world. A human from the planet called Earth. He has come to our home as a friend of my daughter. She paused. We shall see if he is worthy of that honor. The elders made sounds of agreement. Some of them looked at Teho with curiosity. Others looked at him with disgust. Let the first course be served, Valera commanded. Servants entered carrying large bowls. They placed one bowl in front of each person at the table. When Teho looked at his bowl, he saw that it was different from the others. The liquid inside was dark red, almost black. Steam rose from the surface, and a sharp smell hit his nose. Sora, who sat several seats away, closed her eyes. This is the dish of endurance, Valera announced. A traditional test of strength. The food is prepared with spices that most species cannot tolerate. Only the strong can finish it. Teho looked at the bowl. The smell was intense. It reminded him of the hottest food he had ever eaten, the spicy noodles his grandmother used to make when he was sick. The elders watched him with cruel smiles. They expected him to choke. They expected him to cry. They expected him to fail at the very first test. Teho picked up his spoon. He took a deep breath. Then he put the spoon in his mouth. Heat exploded across his tongue. His eyes watered immediately. The spice was strong, burning a path down his throat and into his stomach. It was hot. It was very, very hot. But Teho had grown up in Korea. He had eaten kimchi since he was a baby. He had survived his grandmother's cooking, which was famous in their neighborhood for making grown men cry. This was hot, yes, but it was not impossible. He swallowed and nodded slowly. This is good, he said. It reminds me of my grandmother's kimchi jjigae. She would have liked this. The room went completely silent. One of the elders dropped his spoon. It clattered against the table. Valera's 4 eyes went wide. You enjoy it? It has good flavor, Teho said. He took another bite. And another. The heat was building, but he kept eating. Tears ran down his cheeks, but he did not stop. He finished the entire bowl and set down his spoon. May I have some water, please? He asked politely. Sora covered her mouth with her hand. She looked like she wanted to laugh and cry at the same time. A servant brought water with shaking hands. Teho drank it and smiled. Thank you. That was delicious. The elders began whispering to each other. Their eyes were no longer cruel. Now they looked confused, maybe even a little scared. Valera raised her hand for silence. The first test is passed. Let us move to the second. The bowls were cleared away, and a servant brought something new to Teho's place. It was a stone. It looked like a simple gray rock, about the size of a melon. The servant placed it on a small platform in front of him. This is the grip of resolve, Valera said. You must hold the stone for as long as you can. The stone will grow heavier over time. When you can no longer hold it, place it down. The test will end. Teho looked at the stone. It did not look heavy. He reached out and picked it up. At first, it felt like nothing. Maybe 2 or 3 kilograms? Easy. He held it in front of him with both hands. Time passed. The stone got heavier. 4 kilograms. 5. 10. Teho adjusted his grip. He had carried heavy things before. When he was young, he helped his father at their small shop. He carried boxes of fish and vegetables every morning before school. His arms were not strong like a warrior's, but they knew how to hold weight. 15 kilograms. 20, 30. The elders stopped eating. They stared at Teho with open mouths. Some of them stood up from their chairs to get a better look. Teho's arms started to burn. The stone was getting very heavy now, but he did not want to put it down. He did not want to fail. He thought about Sora and how scared she had been. He thought about proving himself worthy. So, he said, trying to distract himself from the pain, "This house has very interesting architecture. How old is this building?" Valera stared at him. "What? The building? It looks different from the other buildings in the city. Is it ancient?" "It is. 700 years old," Valera said slowly. "That is impressive. On Earth, we have buildings that are thousands of years old, but most of them are in ruins. Your preservation is wonderful." 50 kilograms. 60. One of the elders whispered to another. "How is he still holding it?" "I do not know. This is impossible." Teiho's arms were shaking now. Sweat ran down his face. The stone felt like it weighed as much as a person. But he kept holding. He kept talking. "I noticed the floating furniture. Is that common in Valari homes? On Earth, we put our furniture on the floor. Much less elegant, I think." 80 kilograms and 90. Sora had her hands pressed against her cheeks. Tears were forming in her eyes. 100 kilograms. 110. Finally, after 45 minutes, Teiho gently placed the stone on the platform. His arms dropped to his sides. They felt like they were made of water. "I am sorry," he said. "I cannot hold it any longer." The room was silent. The elders looked at him like he was a ghost, like he was something from a nightmare. Valera stood up slowly. Her face was pale. "Do you know how much that stone weighed at the end?" Teiho shook his head. 123 kilograms. That is more than your own body weight. That is more than most Valari warriors can hold. She paused. The record for this test is 52 minutes. It was set by a soldier who had trained his whole life. Teiho blinked. "Oh, I did not know." "You did not know," Valera repeated. Her voice was strange. "You held a stone that would have crushed the bones of any Valari. And you asked about architecture. The architecture is really interesting," Teiho said weakly. Sora made a sound that was half laugh, half sob. Valera looked at Teiho for a long moment. Then she looked at her daughter. Then back at Teiho. "The tests are finished," she said. "Everyone leave. I must speak with the human alone." The elders began to protest. "But madame, there are more tests," I said. "Leave." The authority in her voice was absolute. The elders stood and filed out of the room, still whispering and looking back at Teiho with fear in their eyes. Sora hesitated at the door. "Mother, please. You too, my daughter. Go." Sora looked at Teiho with worried eyes. He gave her a small smile. She nodded and left, closing the door behind her. Now Teiho was alone with Madame Valera. She walked toward him slowly, her robes flowing behind her like water. She stopped in front of his chair and looked down at him. "What are you?" she asked. Teiho swallowed. He did not know how to answer that question. He had a feeling that whatever he said next would change everything. Valera circled around Teiho slowly. Her 4 eyes studied every part of him. His hands, his face, his shoulders, the way he breathed. He felt like prey being watched by a hunter, but he stayed still and kept his face calm. "Do you know what humans are to us?" Valera asked. Her voice was quiet now. Not cold anymore, but something else. Something that sounded almost like fear. Teiho shook his head. "I know we are different. I know some species are afraid of us. But I never really understood why." Valera stopped in front of him. "Let me tell you a story. When I was young, much younger than my daughter is now, I served on a starship that explored new worlds. We found many planets with life. Beautiful planets with gentle creatures and soft climates. We also found dangerous planets. Worlds with acid rain and poisonous air. Worlds with predators that could kill with a single bite. She paused and looked at Taeho directly. And then we found Earth. Taeho felt a chill run down his spine. He had never heard anyone talk about Earth like this before. Your planet was classified as a Class 12 death world, the highest level of danger. Our scientists could not believe that anything could survive there. The gravity was too strong. The atmosphere was too harsh. The temperature changed too much between seasons. And the life forms... She shook her head slowly. The life forms were nightmares. What do you mean? Taeho asked softly. Your planet has creatures that hunt for sport. Creatures with hundreds of teeth. Creatures that can run faster than our fastest vehicles. Your oceans contain monsters so large that they could swallow our ships whole. Your forests have insects that can kill with poison. Your deserts have heat that would cook our flesh. And everywhere, there is death waiting. Valera's voice grew stronger. But that is not the worst part. The worst part is that your species, humans, not only survive on this death world. You thrive. You conquered every environment. You killed the great predators. You built cities and machines and weapons. You spread across your entire planet like a disease that could not be stopped. Taeho did not know what to say. He had never thought about Earth like this. To him, Earth was just home. Trees and rivers and cities and people. Normal things. And do you know what makes humans truly terrifying? Valera continued. It is not your strength. It is not your speed. It is your persistence. When our scouts observed humans on Earth, they saw something that haunted them for the rest of their lives. What did they see? Valera leaned closer. They saw humans chase prey for days. Not hours. Days. Your prey would run, and it would get tired and fall. But humans never stopped. You just kept walking, following, waiting. You did not need to be faster. You just needed to keep going. And eventually, everything falls before you. Taeho remembered learning about this in school. It was called persistence hunting. Humans did it for thousands of years before they invented other ways to get food. That is what you are, Valera said. Endurance predators. Creatures that cannot be escaped. Cannot be stopped. Cannot be outlasted. She stepped back and gestured around the room. You sat in my dining hall tonight. I put the hottest food our species has ever created in front of you. Food that would cause pain to almost any creature in the galaxy. And you ate it like it was a snack your grandmother made. Taeho felt his face grow warm. It was really hot. I did cry a little. You cried and kept eating. Valera's voice was almost a shout now. Do you understand how insane that is? Pain is supposed to stop creatures from doing things. Pain is a warning. But humans feel pain and push through it anyway. You break your bones and heal them. You get sick and recover. You face death every day on your horrible planet and laugh about it afterward. She began to pace back and forth. I designed those tests to humiliate you. The dish of endurance has made warriors from a dozen worlds give up after the first bite. The grip of resolve has broken the hands of princes and generals. I expected you to fail immediately. I expected to send you away in shame and tell my daughter that she was foolish to befriend a human. She stopped pacing and turned to face him. Instead, you passed every trial without even realizing they were trials. You held a stone that weighed more than your body and asked about my building. You ate poison and compared it to your grandmother's cooking. Taeho stood up slowly. His arms still ached from holding the stone, but he did not show it. Madame, I did not mean to cause trouble. I just came here because Sora is my friend. I wanted to see her home and meet her family. I did not know about the tests. I did not know what you expected me to do. Valera stared at him for a long moment. Her 4 eyes were unreadable. "That is exactly the problem," she said quietly. "You did not know. You were not trying to impress anyone. You were just being yourself. And yourself is more frightening than any warrior I have ever met." She sat down on a floating chair. For the first time, she looked tired, old. The weight of centuries showed on her face. "My daughter chose a human as her closest companion," she said. "I was angry. I was afraid. I thought she was being foolish and reckless. I thought she was bringing danger into our house. And now?" Tejo asked. Valera looked at him with new eyes. Eyes that no longer held contempt or fear. Instead, there was something like respect. "Now I understand why she chose you." Tejo felt warmth spread through his chest. "Really? You came into my home with no weapons, no demands, no threats. You showed my daughter kindness when others feared her for being different. When others laughed at her for wanting to study with a human, you stood by her." She stood up again and walked toward him. "I have lived for 400 years human. I have met kings and queens and conquerors from across the galaxy. I have seen power in many forms, but I have never seen anything like you." Tejo did not know what to say. He felt overwhelmed. "Your species is terrifying," Valera continued. "You could conquer the galaxy if you wanted to. You could crush worlds and burn fleets. But instead, you make friends. You share food. You ask about architecture while holding stones that would break our bones." She stopped right in front of him, very close. Her 4 eyes looked into his 2. "That is true power," she said. "Not the ability to destroy, the ability to choose not to. The ability to be gentle when you could be terrible." Tejo swallowed hard. "I am not powerful, madame. I am just a regular person. I miss my family. I get scared sometimes. I make mistakes. I am nothing special. That is exactly what makes you special." Valera placed her hand on his shoulder. Her touch was light, like a leaf falling on water. "You do not see yourself as extraordinary. You see yourself as normal. But your normal is our impossible." She stepped back and straightened her robes. "I owe you an apology, Tejo. I tried to humiliate you. I tried to drive you away. I was wrong." Tejo bowed his head. "Thank you, madame. I accept your apology." "You are kind," she said. "Kinder than I deserve." She walked toward the door, then stopped and looked back. "My daughter is waiting for you. Go to her. Tell her that you have passed my tests. Tell her that you are welcome in this house." Tejo felt tears forming in his eyes. Happy tears. Relieved tears. "Madame," he said, "thank you for giving me a chance." Valera smiled. It was a small smile, barely visible, but it was real. "Thank you for showing me what humanity really is," she said. "I will not forget this night." She opened the door and walked out, leaving Tejo alone in the great dining hall. He stood there for a moment, letting everything sink in. Then he laughed. He could not help it. The whole situation was so strange, so wonderful, so completely unexpected. He was just a guy from Bizon, a regular person, who liked books and movies and instant noodles. And somehow, without even trying, he had faced the fears of an entire alien species and come out as their friend. He wiped his eyes and walked toward the door. Sora was waiting. The next morning, Tejo woke up to sunlight streaming through his window. The lavender sky of Valaria was beautiful in the early hours, with soft clouds drifting across like cotton candy. He lay in bed for a moment, remembering everything that had happened the night before. After leaving the dining hall, he had found Sora waiting in the hallway. She had run to him and grabbed his hands, asking 1,000 questions with her eyes. He told her everything. About her mother's words. About the tests. about what Valera had said at the end. Sora had cried. Happy tears, like the ones Taiho had felt forming in his own eyes. They had sat together in the garden until late at night, talking and laughing and feeling the weight of worry finally lift from their shoulders. Now, as Taiho got out of bed and prepared for the day, he noticed something strange. The house felt different, quieter in some ways, but also warmer, more welcoming. He put on clean clothes and walked out of his room. A servant was waiting in the hallway. When she saw him, she bowed deeply, much deeper than before. "Good morning, honored guest," she said. Her voice was respectful, almost reverent. Taiho blinked. "Good morning. Is everything okay?" "Everything is wonderful, honored guest. Madame Valera has made an announcement. The entire household knows of your deeds last night." "My deeds?" Taiho felt confused. "I did not do anything special." The servant looked at him with wide eyes. "You held the grip of resolve for 45 minutes. You consumed the dish of endurance without complaint. You passed tests that have defeated warriors from across the galaxy." She paused. "Forgive me for saying this, but you are the talk of the entire estate." Taiho scratched the back of his head awkwardly. "Oh, I see." He continued walking through the house. Everywhere he went, servants stopped what they were doing and bowed. Guards stepped aside and lowered their heads. Even the floating furniture seemed to move out of his way. It was very uncomfortable. He found Sora in the garden, sitting on a bench near a fountain. The water in the fountain was not water at all, but some kind of liquid light that sparkled and danced. Sora looked peaceful, more relaxed than he had ever seen her. "Good morning," Taiho said, sitting down beside her. "Good morning." She smiled at him. A real smile, wide and happy. "Did you sleep well?" "Yes, but everything is very strange today. Everyone is bowing to me and calling me honored guest. It is making me nervous." Sora laughed softly. "My mother spoke to the elders last night after you went to bed. She told them everything that happened. She declared you an honored friend of House Valera." Taiho stared at her. "A what?" "An honored friend. It is a title usually reserved for war heroes and great leaders. It means you are officially part of our house. You are under our protection. Anyone who harms you harms us." Taiho felt his head spinning. "But I did not do anything. I just held a rock and ate some spicy food." "Exactly." Sora looked at him with warm eyes. "That is what terrified them. You faced everything they threw at you and acted like it was nothing. You asked about architecture while your arms were burning. You compared their deadliest dish to your grandmother's cooking." She reached out and took his hand. Her blue skin was cool against his warmth. "To us, that is amazing. Unbelievable. You did not even realize you were being tested. You just were yourself." Taiho looked down at their joined hands. "I was scared, you know. I did not show it, but I was scared." "I know," Sora said gently. "But you did not run. You did not give up. You stayed calm and faced your fear. That is what courage is." They sat together in silence for a while, listening to the soft sound of the liquid light fountain. The air smelled like flowers. Birds with rainbow feathers flew overhead, singing songs in a language Taiho did not understand. "Sora," Taiho said finally, "I am glad I came here, even with all the tests and the fear. I am glad I met your mother and saw your home. I am glad too." Sora squeezed his hand. "I was so worried. I thought everything would go wrong. I thought my mother would chase you away, and I would never see you again." "Never see me again?" "We are classmates. You would see me every day." Sora shook her head. "You do not understand. If my mother had declared you unworthy, I would have been forbidden from speaking to you. It is the law of our house. Family honor comes before everything." Taiho felt cold at the thought. That is a harsh law. It is. But my mother did not declare you unworthy. She declared you a hero. Now no one can stop us from being friends. She smiled. Not that anyone would want to. After what you did last night, half the servants are talking about writing songs about you. Songs? Taeho groaned. Please, no songs. Too late. I heard one of them humming something about the human who ate fire and held mountains. Taeho put his face in his hands. This is very embarrassing. Sora laughed, and the sound was like music. Later that morning, Madame Valera appeared in the garden. She walked toward them with slow, dignified steps. Taeho and Sora stood up immediately. Mother, Sora said, bowing her head. Valera looked at her daughter with softer eyes than before. Then she looked at Taeho. Human Taeho, she said, I have come to formally apologize. In front of my daughter, as witness. Taeho bowed. Madame, you already apologized last night. There is no need. There is every need. Valera cut him off gently. I misjudged your kind. I let old fears and old stories blind me to the truth. You came into my home with kindness in your heart, and I treated you as an enemy. She stepped closer, and, to everyone's shock, bowed her head to him. A Valari matriarch, bowing to a human. I now understand why my daughter chose you, she continued. Not because humans are powerful. We knew that already. The entire galaxy fears your strength. But you showed me something else. You showed me that despite your power, you choose gentleness. Despite your ability to destroy, you choose to build friendships. She raised her head and looked him in the eyes. That is rare. That is precious. That is worthy of respect. Taeho felt tears threatening to fall again. He bowed in return, just as deeply as she had bowed to him. Thank you, Madame. Your words mean more to me than I can say. Valera nodded. Then her face changed slightly. She looked almost curious now. Sora tells me that you offered to cook for us. Something called bibimbap? Taeho blinked. Yes, it is a dish from my home country. Rice with vegetables and meat and a spicy sauce. Very simple, but very delicious. Spicy sauce. Valera's 4 eyes narrowed. How spicy? Not too spicy for humans. But I do not know how it would be for Valari. Valera looked at him for a long moment. Then she said, I would like to try it. Before you leave. Can you prepare it? Taeho smiled. Of course. It would be my honor. Good. Valera turned to leave, then stopped. And Taeho? Next time you visit, bring more of your Earth food. I am curious about what else your Death World produces. I will bring gochujang, Taeho said. It is the spicy sauce. You can put it on anything. Valera looked at him with an expression that was half fear and half excitement. I awaited with anticipation. She walked away, her robes flowing behind her. Sora turned to Taeho with wide eyes. Did my mother just ask you to bring more human food? My mother, who has not eaten anything new in 200 years. Taeho shrugged. I guess she is curious. She is terrified and fascinated, Sora said. This is the most emotion I have seen from her in my entire life. That afternoon, Taeho went to the kitchen and made bibimbap for the entire household. The servants watched him with a mixture of fear and wonder. He cut vegetables. He cooked rice. He prepared meat with careful hands. When he was done, he served the dish to Valera, Sora, and a few brave elders who had volunteered to try it. Valera took one bite. Her 4 eyes went very, very wide. This is, she started. Too spicy? Taeho asked nervously. Incredible, she finished. This is incredible. She ate the entire bowl. So did Sora. So did the elders. They asked for seconds. That evening, Taeho prepared to leave Valaria. His ship was waiting at the port. His bag was packed. His heart was full. Sora walked with him to the transport vehicle. They stood together in the fading lavender light. "Thank you," Sora said quietly. "For everything." "Thank you for inviting me," Tejo replied. "This was the best semester break I have ever had." She hugged him, her cool arms wrapped around his warm body. "Come back soon, okay? You are always welcome here now." "I will," Tejo promised as his ship lifted off and Valaria became smaller and smaller below him. Tejo received a message on his communicator. It was from Sora. "Mother wants the bibimbap recipe. She's already asked the servants to find Earth ingredients. She's also asking about something called Korean barbecue. I think you have created a monster." Tejo laughed out loud. He typed back, "Tell her I will bring gochujang next time. She's going to lose her mind." He leaned back in his seat and watched the stars stream by. He was just a regular guy from Bizen. He liked books and movies and instant noodles. He missed his dog Bomi. He was nothing special. But somehow, by just being himself, he had earned the respect of an alien house. He had faced their fears and shown them that humans were not monsters. He had turned enemies into friends with kindness and spicy food. Maybe that was the most human thing of all. Not conquering, not destroying, not proving strength, just being there, being kind, being real. And never, ever giving up. The stars glittered outside his window like a billion tiny promises.